Hey everybody, Wes Hagen, Clopepi Vineyards and Estate Wines. Got some questions via Facebook fan page at Clopepi Vineyards and also a couple off of Twitter. So I'm going to run through these nice and quick. Got a question from my friend Alex Lewis, and he asks, how long until California can claim terroir? And he's probably just joking with me because he knows my opinion on this. I don't think terroir exists in California because we have stolen vines from Europe that we've planted on alien soil, and I don't really see the relationship. Those vines adapted for thousands of years in France, hundreds of years at least, and in Italy and in Spain and all these places. And we bring them over here and we pat ourselves on the back. What a good job we do. You know, there's no terroir there. The terroir really is just a term that belongs in France. Let's leave it alone. Let's ignore it. In 300 years from now, you know, maybe as we develop our own vine varietals and we start using massal selection instead of just replanting our vines with the clones from Europe, then we can start talking about the relationship of the vine to the soil. But as far as I'm concerned right now, there's not a lot of proof that we can really talk about terroir. I think it doesn't help the situation, and it pulls us away from what's really important. So let's forget about terroir, let's get back to growing grapes, and let's develop our own vine varietals by allowing vines to adapt in the United States and stop hitting the clonal reset button. So massal selection, forget about terroir, let's move on, let's make great wines and really think about what it takes to make great wines and not just stealing some French term to legitimize domestic wine. I think we can legitimize our own wine without having to speak French. And then Alisa Sommer asks me a good question, how to pick wines at a restaurant. I got a really good idea for you. Start by bringing over the person that knows the wine the best at the restaurant, either the manager, bar manager, or ask your waiter if there's another person there if they don't know the wine list, either a sommelier or someone who can help you with the wine decision. First thing you do, you compliment the wine list. What a great wine list you've put together here. I really like it. And then ask the question, what do you think the greatest value in white? What's the greatest value in red? What's the greatest value in this? There's a couple of wines that I really want you to pay attention to. Number one is Sauvignon Blanc, because I think you can get a much better Sauvignon Blanc for the money than a Chardonnay or a Viognier or something like that. So domestic Sauv Blanc should be awesome. Always look for Kenwood Sauvignon Blanc. There's a couple other ones, Patricia Green, and there's a couple other ones that come out of New Zealand and Oregon, but I specifically like the Kenwood Sonoma Sauvignon Blanc. Merlot is another one where you can get great deals because the price of the fruit's a little bit lower these days. So compliment the wine list, ask for advice and where the value is, and then look for Sauvignon Blanc, Merlot, or maybe wines from the Loire Valley of France. Those generally are very, very good buys. Number 3, Michael Sommer. He's asking about racking and when do we kick a barrel out of our program. Racking is just taking the clean wine off of the sediment, throwing the sediment off, and keeping the clean wine. Some people do it 3 or 4 times during the year. I don't do it very often. I like to keep the sediment in contact with my wine as much as I can. I kick a barrel out of my program very simply when it stops making good wine, great wine. So the moment I find a barrel is underperforming, I kick it out, whether it's 1 year old or 5 years old, 10 years old even. And then I've got this question from Josh Cohn, Burgundy. When did Pinot Noir show up in Burgundy? Well, probably the 11th or 12th century we start seeing it pop up in the literature, but we know for sure by 1395, Valois Duke Philip the Bold made a law in Burgundy, the Edict of 1395, that said any red grape grown that's not Pinot Noir in Burgundy, whoever grows a grape that's not Burgundy and Pinot Noir would be put to death. So basically, Pinot Noir became the only red grape in Burgundy in 1395 with Duke Philip the Bold's Valois pronouncement. And then I've got a question from, there's more stuff about Burgundy, but it'd take me forever, so maybe that's a good conversation over a glass of wine, Josh. And then I have Lannon Rust asked advice for an aspiring winemaker. You know, carry the bag. And what I'm going to say, you can get a job with a distributor or a broker, carry a bag, walk around, go into restaurants, learn to pour wine and sell wine. That's number one, because it doesn't matter how good you are at making wine if you can't sell it. Number 2, carry a bag. Be the freshman, be the rookie, carry the bag, carry the weight of the people that run the associations around you. Santa Barbara County Vintners Association, Santa Rita Hills Wine Growers Association, Santa Maria, whatever. Go into those organizations, volunteer, and make a difference. Just the same way that I researched and wrote the petition for the Santa Rita Hills when I was in my 20s and I first moved here, that really set me up to be a leader in the Santa Rita Hills. So I really encourage you, get involved in the local wine associations and carry the bag the same way that a rookie would carry a hockey bag for all of his teammates. You really do what you can to make yourself valuable to the industry. And then of course, Alan Hancock, Cal Poly, Davis, Fresno, they're all great choices. Learn as much as you can, read about wine, and for God's sake, drink as much and taste as much wine with your friends as you can, and that's really going to teach you a lot about wine. Michael Holland asked me, why 11 months in barrel for Clos Pepy wines and not 24 months? Well, I think, simply put, the less time a wine spends in barrel, the fresher it will be when it goes into the bottle. We do 11 months because we think it's a nice way of making the wine taste delicious and complete, but it hasn't been in the barrel so long that it's absorbed too much dissolved oxygen and made it too soft and too ready. We want the wine to have verve, but we also want it to have ageability, so that's why I choose 11 months. Put a barrel of wine down for 24 months or 36 months, the wine's going to come out with quite a bit of maturity built in. So the wine's, I think, a little bit more ready to go because of the microoxygenation and the gas exchange that's happening between the pores of the wood. So the longer a wine stays in barrel for me, the readier it will be ready to drink early on in its life. And 11 months to me is the right amount of time to put the wine into bottle and give it 5 to 10 years of bottle age. And then the last question is from my friend Wayne Kelterer at A Long Pour. If you don't read his blog, you should. He's one of my favorite bloggers in the world of wine. Very serious, takes great photographs, wonderful guy, and fun guy to drink with, which really, it's more important who you drink with than what you drink. That's a take-home message. What's the future of the Santa Rita Hills, and where does Clos Pepy fit in? It's a really an interesting question because right now we're getting a challenge from a local LA developer who's come up here, bought a piece of property outside the Santa Rita Hills, and now he's trying to develop and basically send a petition to the federal government to expand the Santa Rita Hills out past his property so his property gets in. So he buys land outside of the AVA, now he's petitioning the federal government to include it in the Santa Rita Hills. So I've been defining what Santa Rita Hills in my eyes is, and that is outside. I mean, his property is really in the Buellton Flats. Santa Rita Hills really is this landmass of east-west valleys, nothing that's north-south like once you hit the Buellton Flats. So number one, the integrity of the Santa Rita Hills is important, that we really protect the original historic borders, and I'll protect those borders as much as I can. I don't want to see an expansion. There's 81 different places where the Santa Rita Hills touches people's property lines, and so if for some reason we let this guy expand the AVA into his property, every year, or even more often, we'd get another one of these petitions coming out. So we really got to protect the Santa Rita Hills against these sort of outside people coming in and trying to redefine it. We've spent 20, 25 years, sometimes 40, 45 years if you look at Richard Sanford, defining what the Santa Rita Hills is. So the future means defending the original historic borders, and really promoting this region. It's easy for us, again, to pat ourselves on the back and say, what a great job we're doing of making wine, but not a lot of people know where the Santa Rita Hills is. So outreach, getting these wines to major population centers, getting them into Dallas, getting them into New Orleans, getting them into New York, getting them into Boston, getting them into Chicago and, the Twin Cities, into all of the areas where people love and drink wine. So we really need to get out there and prove to the world who we are, what we're doing. It's a PR dream, I think, the Santa Rita Hills, because we're making some of the best wines in the world, but not too many people know about it. So we don't have to convince people that we are something we aren't. We can really just say, oh my gosh, you haven't tasted the wines of the Santa Rita Hills? If you love wine, if you understand wine, you realize that there's something very, very special there. Well, that's about as quick as I could go through these, so I really do appreciate it. Again, I'm Wes Hagen. I'm the winemaker and vineyard manager for Clos Pepy Estates and Clos Pepy Vineyards. And I'm going to be taking questions, 5 to 7 questions, every Monday. So you can either send them to me at Twitter at Clos Pepy or at Wes Hagen, W-E-S-H-A-G-E-N, or put them on the fan page of Facebook Clos Pepy. And that's it. Hope you guys had a good time. I had a great time doing this for you. We'll see you around the wine glass.